On this episode of Around the Wicket, the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Tour, driven by Nissan, heads to Ireland and Netherlands. As we catch up with Andrew Balbirnie and Max O'Dowd, we ask them the question sent by you.
But I'll always be the first player to do it, so there's a bit of history, I suppose.
Mixed in with some questions we'd never ask.
Someone poisoned my water bottle.
Thank you to all the fans for sharing their world with us through the T20 filter. We loved all your submissions and will continue to feature you. With that out of the way, fasten your seatbelts for episode 2. It is going to be a ride. Welcome to Around the Wicket, your official ICC Men's T20 World Cup Trophy Tour show, driven by the wonderful folks at Nissan. I am your host, my name is Danish Sait, and on this show, every episode we drive around in our virtual Nissan and visit 2 participating countries from the 2021 Men's T20 World Cup. At the end of the show, we put the guests up against each other and stack them up on the Book Cricket Championship leaderboard, atop which Scotland sits pretty. With that out of the way, let's introduce our first guest, the captain of Ireland, Andrew Balbirnie. Ireland's Andrew Balbirnie was born to lead. He's the current captain of the Irish side. He also captained them in the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup back in 2010 and is all set to lead his side in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup later this year. With 7 centuries in ODIs and 1,000 runs in T20Is, Andrew is no stranger to international cricket.
And 100 for Balbirnie, a very important one for him.
On this episode, Andy shares the rainbows that knocked Ireland out of a T20 World Cup, an unwanted record king pair in his first test, and who his favourite O'Brien brother is. And why is it Kevin? Andy, firstly, welcome to the show. How are things in Ireland?
Today they're not great. The weather's pretty bad, but we've got a series starting next week against Zimbabwe, 5 T20s and 3 ODIs. So quite a lot of cricket to play before we actually go out and play in the World Cup.
How's the preparation been for the World Cup, and have you had any effects because of COVID?
We've had a couple of incidents where guys have picked up COVID and they've had to self-isolate, but we haven't really had too many fixtures cancelled due to it.
And since we're talking about the World Cup, how do you rate your World Cup group, and which team do you think is the biggest challenge for you guys?
I think in the group, Sri Lanka are obviously going to be the favourites to top the group, and then ourselves, Netherlands and Namibia will be fighting to hopefully get another spot. I think the group is that close that anyone can qualify. I've
heard there's a bizarre story around you getting your first cap for Ireland. The fans are very curious to know. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so it was actually 11 years ago in a World Cricket League tournament in Holland, and I was picked as the last minute replacement for one of the guys who got injured, and I got a shout from the far side saying you're playing. I was looking around going, who's going to give me my first cap? Like this is quite a big deal for me. A couple of guys were like, where's your hat? And I was like, I haven't been given one. The late Roy Torrance, our old manager, kind of looked around him as if to say, I don't have your cap, and took his own cap off and threw it to me. Yeah, it's kind of a cool story and a bit of a unique story. I don't think it would happen these days, but yeah, certainly one that I'll always remember.
And now, since we're talking about the World Cup, I'm just going to give you a hypothetical question, all right? And this is a question I think I'm going to ask everyone. If there was one retired player you had an option to add into your current squad, in their prime, who would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question. Someone like Rashid Khan. I know you said they have to be retired, but
yeah.
So if it's retired, I'd say Merlithrin.
All right. Thanks, Andy. We're now going to move on to our next segment, which is called Questions That Never Ask. These are questions that never ask. But since I'm here and you're here, I'm just going to do it, and we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Fire away.
Fire away? Alright, here you go. The first one. Despite a pair of ducks on your first international test match, you were offered a central contract. You must have been smashing it in the nets that week.
Yeah. Well, I actually got 200s in the build-up to the test, getting a proper test cap, shaking hands, and to then getting a pair. But I'll always be the first player to do it, so there's a bit of history, I suppose.
Who's your favourite O'Brien brother, and why is it Kevin?
And why is it Kevin? That's a really tough question. I would say I'd be closer with Kevin because he lives in Ireland and I'd see him more often. But I was a roommate with Niall when he played, so it's 50-50. I can't answer that.
The next one is, we noticed your social media feed. It's really fun and quirky. Do you think you'd be a better cricketer if you spent less time on social media?
No, I actually don't. I think I'd be a worse cricketer. I really enjoy Twitter. I think it's a great way to interact with people that you would never interact with normally. Yeah. I think certainly since I've become captain, I've maybe toned it down a bit, but I try to enjoy myself. Life's too short not to take things too seriously. So
that's incredible. That's a great life lesson. The next segment is fan-powered questions. Let's begin with this first one, which is by the Cricket Bloke. He asks, do you fancy your chances to make it to Super 12s?
I do. I think if I were to sit here and said I don't, I think I'd be sacked tomorrow. So I really do. I think we've got a young squad who are keen to learn. We've got a great coach who's playing forward. And we've got guys playing some really good cricket.
Any chances Ireland will conduct a test tour to other test-playing nations in the future?
We're desperate to play test cricket. I think our last test match was in the summer of 2019 at Lords, and that was one of the highlights of our careers, playing in front of a friends and family. And once you get a taste for it, you want more, and we're not getting any younger, and a lot of us are in the peak of our careers. You watch what's going on in the India and England test match, and that last day at Lords, I was absolutely glued to, and I was watching it going, I want to play that, I want to be a part of that, and I'd love to, and I think most of the guys would as well.
Thank you so much, Andy, for talking to us. We're going to see you in a bit for some book cricket.
Brilliant, thank you.
That was Ireland's Andrew Balbirnie. He'll be back late on the show for his book cricket showdown, but before we do that, how about we set the stage for his opponent, the Netherlands' Max O'Dowd. Max O'Dowd is one of Netherlands' most consistent players. Setting up big totals for his side, he's one of the best associate nation openers in the world today. He started his ODI career with a bang, scoring 3 consecutive 50s in his first 3 innings.
Lovely constructed half century.
2019 was Max's year as he carried great form into the ICC Men's T20 World Cup qualifiers, starting the tournament with an excellent 53 against Kenya in the opening match. He kept his good touch going through the tournament and scored a 50 against Bermuda, which included some big hits.
Goes over long on, you can just watch it sail into the stands.
So far in his international career, Max has never been dismissed for a duck. And he's also the first Dutch player ever to score a T20I century. In this episode, Max shares the secret sauce behind his luscious hair, his love for DJing, and how he escaped into cricket after being bullied by a 110-kilo kid in rugby. Maxi, welcome. It's so good to see you. I'm going to straight away get this out of the way. Our producers are in awe. What's your hair care routine like?
Thank you, first of all. Very simple, a little shower, a little bit of soft shampoo, and a little bit of special sauce I've got. I can't tell anyone what the special sauce is, but it's up there.
I'm sure the special sauce is also a part of Netherlands' cricket preparations. The World Cup is around the corner. Have you had any COVID-related restrictions?
We haven't really had too much game preparation just yet. Yeah, there's obviously been restrictions, but nothing that's holding our attitude back for sure.
And have you set any personal benchmarks for yourself? What's the team's morale like? What are you all hoping to achieve at this T20 World Cup?
I think as a team, obviously we want to try and get through that first group stage. I think that's our main aim. But personally, for me, it's just to try and score as many runs as I can, and more importantly, win games for my country.
How do you rate your group, and who do you think is going to be your biggest challenge?
I think it's a tough group. Obviously, we fancy ourselves and we fancy our chances if we put together the performances we want to put together. And of course, Sri Lanka are up there, Ireland, Namibia have got firepower, so it's difficult to call, man. It's whoever turns up on the day and wants to win that game.
You've done it in the past. You're the first player to score a T20 century for the Netherlands. Was that your proudest moment as a cricketer?
It's up there for sure. I think my ODI debut against Zimbabwe, that was very special because my dad was there to watch. And it was a game where I chased down and won the game. But the T20 was great as well. It was good fun.
If you had the choice to pick a retired player into the current Netherlands squad to travel with you to the World Cup, who would it be?
There's two that come to mind. That's Sachin, obviously. Right. I'd say A.B. de Villiers as well. Sachin, obviously, his results speak for himself, and having someone like that in the group
everybody would love to have him in their team. Everybody,
absolutely,
from around the world. Yeah,
absolutely. You'd be stupid not to choose him. And then AB, obviously, Mr. 360. That guy does everything. So having someone like that in the group would be pretty phenomenal as well.
All right. With that, let's move into our next segment, Maxi. It's called Questions That Never Asked. These are questions that never ask. But they're there, we're here, so I'm just going to do my bit, right? You were born in New Zealand, but you now live and play cricket for the Netherlands. Is the New Zealand cricket team really that hard to get into?
Well, obviously the New Zealand cricket team is very good, but I mean it's different. I was born in New Zealand, but I moved to the Netherlands when I was 5 years old. So I'm very proud to play for the Netherlands. I've got a big group of family here who are Dutch, and they're all proud to see me to wear the orange. All
right. Do you see yourself associated with the sport for a long time?
I think so. I mean, I've been playing cricket since I was 4 years old. It's something I love and something I'm very passionate about. When I retire, I don't know when that will be, but hopefully I've got a little bit of time left. I could definitely see myself moving into something cricket related.
Let me take a guess. DJing? I mean, is this your secular spot as the in-stadium DJ?
Yeah, maybe. I might have to have a chat with the Dubai guys, see if I can maybe spin a couple tracks when I'm there.
Now, you're yet to be dismissed for a duck in international cricket. Given that you're about to play with real competition later this year, do you think now it's the time to retire with that record?
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's a pretty interesting stat. I can't wait to tell the guys downstairs. Oh well, I mean, every competition, every game we play is real. So obviously the World Cup's another step up. I'll try not to get out for a duck, but I back myself to not do it. So I'll just keep playing for now.
All right, and we read that your dad was a very popular rugby coach. How disappointing were you at rugby that he had to encourage you to be a cricketer?
Well, cricket was so when I grew up, my dad was a cricketer, so it came naturally. And when it came to rugby, I went to high school in New Zealand, and I don't know if you know much about the New Zealand rugby system, but there's a couple of very big boys over there. And I was 13 years old trying to tackle a kid who was 13 years old who weighed about 110 kgs, and when 110 kgs is running straight at you, it's not much fun.
Just run straight to cricket then. I think that's better.
Yeah, that was it. I'll just run straight off the field into the nets.
Right. Our next segment is called fan-powered questions. Now, these are questions that the fans have sent in. The first one I want to ask you is from Ciara B. The question is, how do you see cricket developing in the Netherlands?
I think it is growing, to be honest. We've had a bit of exposure this summer. We played Ireland in the Super League, and it was the first 3 ODI games that were ever broadcasted live on Dutch television. We've got systems in place where we're going around schools, we're going around clubs. We're really showing what cricket's about and how you can have a future in the sport.
The Ren Mew asks this question. What are the preliminary plans for the all-important clash against Ireland at the T20 World Cup? Do you think you'll win?
Well, we've got to be confident. We're currently up to, we beat them 2-1 in the latest series, but we know what the Irish bring. So it's going to be a tough game. They've got a couple of very good players. All
right. Tanmoy CV1 asks, how big was Peter Boren's impact on Dutch cricket over the years?
Peter Boren's been great. I mean, he's a stalwart of Dutch cricket. I think he instilled a different kind of passion that maybe was lacking in the past. Even now, he's around trainings, helping out. Having a guy like that around is very helpful.
All right, thank you very much, Maxi. This was great fun. We're going to see you for some book cricket up next.
Perfect.
Alright gentlemen, it's time to battle for cricket's greatest prize, the Book Cricket Championship. Just to let you know, Scotland leads this with 28 runs and we're very curious to see how both of you fare. Before we start, here are the rules. Each player flips the book open 6 times, playing an over. The last digit of the even numbered page that you flip is the number of runs you score. So 0 is a dot ball, 2, 4, 6, 8 equals the number of runs you get. Books are flipped alternately and each player plays 1 ball at a time. Alright, so can we please have you hold your books up? So let's start with, Maxi, we'll start with you first. What is it?
I'll pick up a comfortable 2.
So that's 2 of the first ball. Great.
That's gone and done the distance. It's a 6.
That becomes 6 then.
No, it's not a bad start.
That's not a
That's
bad
not the
start.
start I wanted.
That's good start.
I'm feeling good on this one. You're kidding. 2-1-2. 2 more.
And I'll pick up a comfortable
2
2.
more.
Too much running for me.
I mean, it's healthy.
My eyes in. 99.
So that's a 0 then. The even number after
Ah, yes. Well bowled.
0. Well bowled.
All right. 3-9-3.
So that's a 4 then.
I'm coming back.
You
How's
are,
that
you're
ball?
in the lead right now, yeah.
That's gone and done the
45.
distance. It's
That's
a 6.
again.
Yeah, made up with the dot ball.
Yeah, he either hits them big or he doesn't hit them.
Oh, 1-3-7
So that's it.
or 1-3-6.
So that's a 6.
3-4-1.
So that's a 0
That's a
then
lot.
again. Yeah, that's a 0 again.
6-0, 6-0.
6-0, 6-0.
2-0-4.
So good looking, it's 4.
Ah, 67.
It's a biggie. It's out of here.
5.
Gone
25.
and
So
done the
that'll be a
distance.
6 on
It's
the
a
other
6.
side then.
173.
So
And
good
that's
looking,
a
it's 4.
Which means, Max, you have 24 for you, and that's 24 for Andy as well. So congratulations, gentlemen. It's a tie.
Congrats.
My 2 dot balls. Killer.
Do we have a super over?
So we do have a segment called Super Over, so we'll head over there and see which one of you wins that.
We're going to a super over!
The game is called the Super Over, only fitting for the last thing we do in this episode. The rules are simple. I'm going to be giving you a topic. You have to go back and forth with answers to the question until
Okay.
someone fails to respond in 5 seconds. Alright? So the topic for today is things to blame while you get out.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll start with Max. Go.
Okay. The wicket.
The weather.
The decision.
The umpire.
The ball's bounced, so I'm not happy with the fielder.
The tea. The food we had in between innings.
Yeah, it's a good one. Someone poisoned my water bottle.
The captain signalling to the field while the ball was being bowled.
Last night's dinner.
Someone in front of the side screen.
Someone behind the sight screen.
I have nothing. I don't know.
And Maxi is the winner. Well done, Maxi. These are some really quirky reasons, guys. What sort of teammates do you have who poison your water bottles?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you ask the New Zealand rugby team in '96. I'm sure they'll tell you about it.
All right, congratulations, Maxi. And thank you very much, both of you, for joining us.
Pleasure.
And we can't wait to see you guys in action at the T20 World Cup.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Around the Wicket. Our virtual Nissan moves to Africa for the next episode as we visit Namibia and South Africa. If you'd like to ask our guests a question, get involved on ICC's social media platforms and I'll be sure to take the best ones up. I've been your host. My name is Danish Sait and I'll see you next week.